Hello, Jim 12s here. Today is the 9th of March 2023 and I'm here again in my local woods. I'm delighted to be back here. It was November last year that I was last here. I've chosen a slightly different spot to do my recording today, but it's more or less the same. Just off the Great North Walk. I'm to the east of it, and I'm north east of Cherrybrook. Anyway, today's video is entitled "Why do I make videos and why do I write?" And I'm hoping that if you're watching this, you've maybe seen some other videos and maybe you've read some of my writing. I'll put links below for some of the recent ones, so you might get a feel for what I've been on about. Anyway, let's go. Why do I make videos and why do I write? Well, number one, I think that the days we're living in, 2025 AD, are really historic days. I've lived since 1952 and I would argue that the 60s were pretty historic and world changing, but I would argue that today, these days, are more historic. The changes are more fundamental, and they're running at a much faster rate than they were in the 60s. So part of me wants to record my perspective on the story. I'm sure millions of histories will be written of these days, but from whose perspective? And that's a thing that I never used to question before. I always instinctively believed that history was apolitical and fact was objective fact. But that's one of the things in today's society that means that I want to record my perspective and write my version of what I've seen and heard. So, call that narcissistic, if you will. Call that egocentric. Yeah, you can label me those, I'm sure. But time will tell whether or not my perspective is worth keeping. Number two, I have technically retired, but I'm not retiring. Some people, when they retire, they write a book or books, and that's their legacy, as it were. And there is an element I want to leave my children and grandchildren, and that's what these videos and these writings are for. I do have in the back of my mind that I'm leaving a legacy for my future generations and for anybody else to read and study if they so wish. But primarily, I'm thinking of my own legacy. Number three. Today, you see, I've come out into the pristine Aussie bush. It happens to be more or less in Sydney. I mean, it's literally less than an hour from my home by public transport. it is so accessible, but it is so far from the distractions and the noise and the clamour of a bustling city, and it gives me space to think, to reflect. I suppose if you're a technophobe, no, not a technophobe, if you're a techie or a techie nerd, you could say that what I'm doing is defragging my disk drive. So the computer's put on idle and it comes out into the bush to just reflect, sort out and file away in a logical manner the ideas that have been buzzing around in recent weeks. So this is number 3 I'm talking about. I think that the reason I do the videos and write is it's, for me, an exercise in critical thinking. I'm wanting to organise my thinking and take a fresh look, which nicely leads on to my next point, number 4. I want to provoke others into a debate. I'm inviting you to come back at me and lay criticism, constructive criticism, I trust, of what I'm saying and what I'm doing. I don't claim to get anything right. I'm just doing my best to sort through what I'm hearing and seeing and sensing. That's all I'm doing, and it would be my greatest joy for you to subscribe to this video and hit the bell for future notification of videos, and to go to the Canberra Declaration, Daily Declaration, and read what I'm writing there. And while you're there, there is a plethora of fantastic things to read and study on the Daily Declaration. I highly commend it. In fact, I would go so far as to say it's probably my number 1 source of news. Anyway, back to number 4. I'm provoking, or seeking to provoke, people into debate. Let me give you an example. Over the last couple of days, I was in correspondence with a friend, and it was over the question of political labels. You know, are you a socialist? Are you a capitalist? Are you left of centre, right of centre? How far left, how far right? All those questions. And he came back to me and said his biggest problem is that sorting out what is disinformation. Okay. He was at pains to weed out disinformation. Now, I came back to him and said, funny that you should use that word. I bet it never existed 3 years ago. 3 years ago, it would have been called opinion. And why can't anybody have an opinion? I do, my friend does. Let's call it that. Let's call it an opinion. To classify an opinion as disinformation immediately pushes it way out of debate. It's not worth talking about. It's disinformation, or sometimes called misinformation. That concept stifles debate, and that's one of the reasons why I make these videos and write my essays. Number 5. Another reason why I'm writing and doing these videos is because I believe I need to take a stand in society that we know today. and I've called it Jim's Stand. Very original, I know. And you'll find it on Telegram, link below. Now, what I do with that channel is I post my own videos, sure. I post links to my own writing, sure. And I also post items that have really struck me as being worth a detailed reflection. I don't dump, loads of stuff on there. I keep it to a minimum, I think, and I seek only to put up there items that will be of value, I believe, to others in seeking to provoke debate. And I'll be frank, in recent weeks and months there has been more traffic on Telegram, and I have ventured into the realms of having discussions with people who've made comments. But please bring on the comments. Yes, you like that. No, you don't like that. What about this? Have you considered that? And finally, and the wind is getting up for a bit of a gust and I may have to hold the camera. Number 6. The reason for writing and making videos is I want to encourage others on their journey, on your journey. There is a lot of negativity about, and I know that people can be depressed by all the negativity. I hate that. I absolutely hate that, because that's like a clockwork clock winding down and becoming silent. I really want to encourage folk to be positive, to be on the front foot, to be energetic, to go out there and make a difference, and to take a stand. That's what I'm all about. So I hope that's a bit of an explanation for why you're getting these videos from all sorts of places, but often my local woods. Bye for now.